response time limits. This is cool because in Echo connects you as a responder on the ministry side to the seeker. When it's Facebook or email or texting, etc., those asynchronous forms of communication, Echo connects you to that person, which means that if the seeker sends you a message, like let's just pick text as an example, and you claimed it from Echo, and now you're the responder, you're in conversation with that seeker. Every time that seeker texts that regular number, it's going to be routed intelligently to you as the Echo responder. And that's awesome. What happens, though, when maybe your volunteer responder, staff responder is not responding in the time that you want them to? Or what happens when that responder takes a week off and goes on vacation? What do you do there? So let me hop over and I'll show you response time limits. Here's what Echo has done to help you with that. We have a few different options right now of text, email, and Facebook Messenger time limits. And if you enable these, what you're saying here is that this duration, so in this case 2 and then the unit is days. You'll see that we have seconds, minutes, hours, and days. If 2 days go by, the seeker has sent the responder a message and the responder has not responded, then Echo will automatically take that conversation and put it back in the queue in the inbox so that somebody can turn around and claim that and answer that seeker. So this is a way for when the seeker has reached you as an organization, this is a way for you to set up the time limit that's appropriate to you. Now, again, that says 2 days. That could easily say 2 minutes or 2 hours. Probably minutes and seconds aren't going to be used, but we have every option available for you. If you're worried about seconds going by, that's probably amazing. I can't wait to talk to you more about how you're doing it. So again, you can configure each of these differently because we think there's a different expectation of response time based off of these different mediums. And of course, you'll know best as to what these appropriate numbers are. But this is where you'll enable it. You just simply toggle this to enable it, put in the duration, and then indicate the unit of minutes, hours, and days. And I think we've tried to describe what those are here. So again, once the threshold's been met, the conversation is going to be placed back in the inbox so a different responder can claim it. Now, don't forget that even though we have this set up this way, Echo also has the ability to transfer a conversation. So I don't think you need to be too worried because I think sometimes ministries get a little afraid of like, oh no, this conversation has been going on for a year with this particular responder. It's just that they were off for this week. Well, we believe the most important thing is to respond quickly to that seeker. The shorter amount of time between the time the seeker has texted in or whatever way they've communicated with you and the time you send a message back, the shorter that window is, that is directly proportional to the higher quality outcome that you're going to get from that conversation. So we have prioritized this as a company and we're trying to help equip you with tools to do that. All that to say that if that responder has been in a long conversation with the seeker and they're just responding back with like, okay, or thanks, I would say then at that point it's just a training issue to let your team know to just transfer that conversation back over to the original responder that had been having the conversation. And that's easy to do, just transfer from the drop-down menu. And of course, they'll be able to see the name of the responder by just loading the history and see. So essentially, the workflow is something like this. You would set up these time limits on this side, and then on the training side, you would just tell, hey, team, if you get something and it just says okay or thanks or I'll let you know or something that really doesn't need a response, Echo, of course, doesn't have a way of knowing that. It's just knowing the time limit. Then just encourage them to load history, see who that had that conversation before, and then just transfer it back over to them. And that way, when they log back in, they'll see it. And the same thing will apply, right? If you transfer it back to them, then the seeker sends another message, the time limit expires, then it'll push it back over in the inbox in the queue for someone else to see it. So that's response time limits, and they're there to help. What we're trying to do is measure and manage the best of two worlds, which is how do we give really fast, responsive conversations, and then how do we also help that continue to be routed to that same person, so there's some sense of connectedness and congruency with the conversation. So hope that helps. Ask questions if you have need for further information on this. Thanks.